So today was the first time I'd ever gone to an Armageddon, and I was meant to go with a friend. And true to form, this friend did not show up. They bailed. So after a bit of umming and ahhing, packed my stuff, and I went, and I quite enjoyed it. Funny thing was actually, I went in cosplay, and so I had a costume on that I'd put together. Um, I don't know if I can edit a photo in, but if I can edit a photo in, I'll put a photo in, maybe over here somewhere. Um, yeah, it was quite a neat thing to go to. Um, I was very nervous about doing it, as I always would be. Um, I don't really like doing things on my own, but sometimes, you know, sometimes you just got to get out there and do something. Um, so, I got dropped off. I changed into my stuff after I'd entered. Um, so far, I haven't seen any photos of me that other people took, but I do know that at least two people took photos of me. So hopefully they show up. Yeah, it was. I didn't go to any of the panels. Like I went quite late in the day. I got there about 2. It finishes at 5. It's on again like tomorrow, but you know I won't go back, sort of thing. But next year, hopefully do like a full day. Actually attend some of the panels or do that kind of stuff. Um, yeah, it was really neat seeing lots of people out there in a costume and a lot of people enjoying themselves. When I first got there, of course, it was chock a block full of people. So like it was really hard to see what was on the table and on different tables and where things were and all that sort of stuff. But as it quietened down, I got to go around a lot of places and see what I'd missed and that sort of stuff. I asked a couple of people if I could take their photos, which I did. I only ended up taking like 5 photos. So next year I plan to take more, sort of thing, and hopefully next year I've actually got like a team of people to go with, or at least a dependable friend, because this one is really bad at bailing all the time. Um, I have to say I kind of expected there to be a bit more gaming stuff, but there only seemed to be one area where there was gaming, and it was always full, so I never really got a good idea of what was in there. Um, I'm guessing that some of the others, it's probably a bit bigger there. I mean, Postquake Christchurch is slow in its rebuilding, and it's slow and when it comes to redoing things. I know this was the first year that it was being held at that particular location. So maybe next year, they'll plan it out a bit better and there'll be more for people to do. I know that there was like airsoft and card tournaments going on. There was some sort of zombie thing, which I think you might have had to pay to get into or something. So that would probably be quite an interesting thing to do too. I know that somewhere just outside of the city is the horror maze. Um, I've seen a lot of people's photos where they've lost control of their bladder because it's that scary to them. So maybe one day I'll go do that. Not to piss myself or anything, but just go along, have some fun. Um, the If the photo did show up before, or what I looked like, of course my face was obscured halfway down, so it was quite muffled for people to talk to. Um, I chatted away to a guy in the 501st, and that's where I realised that it must be quite hard for them to not only hear because of the stormtrooper helmets, but it's actually quite hard to hear them too, or understand what they're saying. In saying that, if you know me, you know I'm like partially deaf. I really can't hear at certain levels, or if there's too much like background noise, something like that. And of course, if you know me from my wandering, if I have headphones on, then you know that I can't hear you at all, because my music is normally loud enough for me to block out the outside world. So that's why you have to like track me down and stop me and make sure I'm looking at you and that sort of stuff, and then I'll be able to, talk and other stuff. I think it must have been hot for them, because it was hot for me and what I was in, and I really wasn't in a lot of stuff, although there were quite a few layers. There was a hell of a lot of cosplay stuff on sale, like the key sword or something from Kingdom Hearts. There was at least like 4 different people that had that. Game of Thrones swords, Lord of the Rings swords, or Hobbit swords, since one of them was Sting. There was a lot on offer. Like I said earlier, I did kind of expect there to be a bit more in the way of gaming, because other than that one area where people were gaming, the only really gaming orientated things I saw were Vagabond Games, who would have got their stuff from Livewire Games, because I think they're the same company, or at least owned by the same people. And I already know Livewire because I get some of my 40k stuff from there, like Space Hulk, because they offered it at a far cheaper rate than anyone else. So, to get Space Hulk for like $100 instead of paying $300, yeah, I'm gonna go with the cheaper option. They had a lot of good bargains there. And the only other one I saw was Mighty Ape. Mighty Ape was pretty much always busy, so it was quite hard to tell what they had on offer and that sort of stuff. I think the first time I passed by, I saw they had Hidden Blades from the Assassin's Creed, and I thought, oh, that'd be pretty cool. I went back later, sort of contemplated, do I really need one of these things? No, I don't. Went back later anyway, by which time I would have thought of actually buying one. They didn't seem to have any left, so maybe they'll have some tomorrow or whatever, but I'll just chalk it up to one of those things. You don't really need it, you just kind of want it. Maybe I'll find one later, maybe I'll build one. Yeah, so it was pretty cool, and figured I'll show off like some of the stuff I picked up today, because I didn't spend a lot, but I got a lot of good bargains. So I picked up the original Fable. I realised that this looks to be mirrored, so these things will probably look wrong, but I'm telling you what they are. That was really, really cheap. I know it's an old game. I own the original Xbox one, but I never really played it. I got cheap comics and Mrs. M. Yeah, it was like $1, so like $1 comic. Got to get that. What's this one? Miasma. So it looks pretty groovy. I really like the idea of it. The same people were doing like a back issues thing. So you got the Fun Time Darkest Day comics for Christchurch, which I believe will tie into the earthquake, post-earthquake times, and then you got back issues of number 26, number 25. Alright, do it that way you can see, and number 26 looked like that. 25 and issue 23. So I think they cost me $3 for the 4 of them, so really good deal. Just before closing, I talked to the guys that sold me these ones. Now I won't tell you the price, because, but it was a good price. It's Blastosaurus Welcome to Freak City. So that's like, the guy was telling me it's like the first book, and he threw in the second book free, because he said that they should merge together and they'll make one big thing. Probably the thing that I was proudest about getting, the thing that as soon as I saw it, it was one of those things that I'm like, oh my god, I've got to get that, because I haven't read this part of the story, so I don't know what happens in it or anything, so it's really exciting, and the price that they had it at was about half of what I would pay for it elsewhere, so it was like, oh my god, yes. And that is Sandman Overture, and that's of course written by Neil Gaiman. I think I might have got the last copy of that. At least that was the last copy they had on the shelf. So I was pretty pleased to get that. The reason behind this is because... oh shit. Excuse the language. About 15 years ago? 15 maybe? 20? I'll say 15. Showing my age. I used to pass a book at the library called Preludes and Nocturnes. It was the first book in the Sandman series. Now I would flick through this book and I would look at it and I think, this looks pretty cool. I would like to read this book, but at that point I didn't feel like I could read it. It felt like it was too, maybe this is a weird way of putting it, it was too adult for me. Sort of thing. It just that time it didn't seem right. And anyway, fast forward a couple of years later, so I'm guessing I must have been around 18 at the time. I found Preludes and Nocturnes again, picked it up, and I read it, and my god, if you know Neil Gaiman's work, the guy is a genius. His stories are beautiful. So I utterly adored this first book. And then as time progressed, I would see more of them on the shelves. So I ended up reading the entire Sandman series from the library, because I didn't have the funds to buy them. In saying that, I still haven't really had the funds. Well, that technical lie. I have had the funds to buy them. I've just bought other graphic novels and toys and stuff in the past 12 years, maybe 12. Yeah. I own Preludes and Nocturnes. I own a couple other Sandman things. Like I've got one of the variant figures from, I think it was DC Direct at the time. It's a pretty old figure now. And I also own like the Dreamweavers figure of it. Really weird find on Trade Me. It was just the Dream figure. Kind of rambling. Guess it doesn't really matter. If you ever get the chance of being able to read one of the Sandman books, in fact, in any Neil Gaiman story, or if books really aren't your thing, maybe go for films. Stardust is a beautiful film. It is brilliant. That's got Claire Danes in it. And Michelle Pfeiffer. Brilliant. Always makes a certain friend laugh because there is a character in that named Bernard, and of course I am Bernard, and this person has something happen to them, and she finds it quite funny. Other films would be Coraline, and TV series Neverwhere. Um, Neverwhere's a little weird when it comes to the way it was shot, because if I remember correctly, it was meant to get something added to it after it had been filmed, and the funding for that got cut or something, so it never really happened. However, it does have, I can't really name names, but I do know it's got Peter Capaldi in it, of course, at this time, the current Doctor Who. It's a really, really good story. Virtually anything Neil Gaiman does is worthwhile having a look at. I also realised that this is now almost 16 minutes, so it's really rambly, and yeah, it's a lot of talking from me. I'm sure you don't want to listen to me much longer. So I'll leave it at next year. I hope to have other people to go along with, and I hope to have savings for it so that I can actually partake of getting some other things like, pretty nifty action figures and stuff. There were some really good deals, but it's just, like, you either choose to eat or, you buy a new action figure sort of thing, a new collectible. I'm going more to the side of I need to pay for my food and eat at the moment. So all of what I got, extremely proud of, really pleased with. Maybe in the future I'll actually do other videos on them and maybe explain them a bit. And I've got plans to do something else in the future, since I've got a fairly extensive amount of CDs and music and stuff, so I figured I might do something with that. But we'll see how it goes. If you've actually watched this all the way through, I'd really have to say thank you to you, because I wouldn't expect you to. But thank you for doing it, and I'll make another video soon. Cheers.